Hi everyone, I'm Adrian.
And I'm Marco.
Welcome to
Remember Together.
In this episode, we talk about how fear, defensiveness, and discomfort can become pathways to healing and a deeper sense of home within family relationships.
Buenas, buenas. Fratello, Adrianation.
Buenas, buenas, hermano.
Aquí estamos, qué gusto.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah, here we are. Once again in this revolutionary, brotherly vulnerability.
Exactly. Seeking out substance, seeking out the transmutation that can result in these moments of shared depth, silliness. Yeah.
Yeah, we long for the aliveness.
Yeah, we do.
You know, we long so much for the aliveness.
So
And
much.
then as we're longing for the aliveness, then something comes up.
Yeah. So, hi everyone. Over the past couple days, Adriana and I have been talking, and some themes related to our relationship with our dad have been coming up, and parts of our psyche that we are tending to and wanting to tend to. And so I wanted to start us off just sharing that I had this experience that I'm kind of like giggling a little bit about now, because I've kind of gone through a lot of emotional process about what happened. But yesterday I was with my dad, and I was telling him about some new projects that I'm wanting to launch of my own. New projects in which I feel kind of I don't exactly know what I'm gonna do, like or rather there's some like unresolved, let's say untied loose ends. But anyway, as I started to share this to him, he started to respond, and he started telling me, trying to help me in his own way, which was by analyzing things and starting to break down into, okay, what are the problems, what are the possibilities, and I felt a kind of concern from him, but more of a worry, like a worry flavored with a kind of skepticism, or like a sense that there's some difficulty in this potential in this project. And as I was listening to him respond to me, I started feeling super defensive. I started to feel like he was being skeptical and negative about the things that I was sharing. And so what this brought up in me is that, wow, I'm carrying around a model, both of him, but also just of another interlocutor who's responding to something that I share. And that model is like implicitly like judging or criticizing. And so I wanted to kind of open up, wow, like I have this rigid interpretation of how I guess how available I am to really be seen in those moments in which I feel like I don't have things totally buttoned up. And in those moments, it's specifically difficult for me to be witnessed or seen by my dad. And so there's this dynamic where, because of not feeling safe being seen there, I feel like I need to respond defensively. And so there are these layers of experience that suddenly come up. There's anger at not feeling safe, like not feeling safe showing what I am, like showing the realness of what I am. And then there's also this sense of separation. And the sense of I'm not being held in the way that I need to or want to be held. So I wanted to bring that experience up because it was alive yesterday, and it feels relevant to some conversations that we've had recently. One about failure and what our relationship to failure is, but also about kind of masculinity or male archetypes of authority and of course with the intention that this might be a conversation that leads me to experience an openness and like a willingness to show myself in that place where I haven't wanted to. So I'll open with that, and you can respond. But also, I know that you've been thinking and feeling about things yourself.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you, hermano, and welcome. Like welcome to all of this.
Thank you.
First, and to say this, our podcast here, one of the pieces that we are offering to listeners, to the world, is that we know what it's like to experience being stuck in different parts of our lives, and on top of being stuck, being alone with that stuckness and not being able to talk about it. And the sheer intensity of the calcification, like the hardening that these kinds of dynamics, right? Like with our parents or that same feeling that might occur with a boss or with any kind of situation, that can go on for years and years and years. And it can be kind of like almost like a basic shape of who Adrian is, or who Marco is, or who just whom we are, and how that we can see in the world. It's like, oh, such and such has a hard time with this, or I have a hard time with this, or whatever it is, and that not being able to talk about it, not having spaces in our families in which we can actually talk about this, to presence it, means when we can't do that it just keeps on going. And so, in a way, I'm saying this also as a way of receiving you, my brother, that I feel like you're taking that step, that courageous step, to bring that part or that experience that has been locked away, alone, into our relationship, into conversation, into the open. And so I first just want to make space for that sense of for me, like the sense of the preciousness of this act. Of one, like, being with that vulnerability and then being like, I want to share.
Mm-hmm.
I want to share. And as you share that with me, hermano, then, just like, I guess I can pause there, just sharing what I just shared now, and as this feeling, and maybe see how that lands for you.
No, it feels good. It feels good to have that. Yeah, because there's trepidation in sharing that aspect of my being. And so it feels like even this process of, I'm going to open up about this moment in which I felt closed, it kind of re-engages that dynamic. But I agree that there's this kind of fledgling aspect of my own being that's being born, that is moving in a different direction, and that is having like a distinct sensibility to the rigidity that I no longer want to live by. And having you receive that and notice that, there's courage there, there's curiosity, and there's willingness and humility to have reality be a different thing than it used to. That feels good.
It's part of our remembering together. Like how do we remember together, and that also now I'm feeling energy. Something you had brought up before we started the call of. You're sort of bringing the topic anyways right now, but also that we can include the part of feeling uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Just how much, and here that so often we can't talk about these things or even presence, how, like this moment right here, this moment of being able to accept with each other a little bit more that we might be, or maybe that we are, a little bit uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's totally relevant and necessary to kind of include explicitly. Because actually, if I think about it carefully, the process that I went through yesterday was, I was showing something that didn't feel like it was prepared, and then I started feeling questioning. And so I then felt uncomfortable. But I didn't want to feel uncomfortable, and I didn't want to show that I was uncomfortable.
Exactly. I didn't want to feel it, and I didn't want to show it. Yeah. And that's oh my goodness, I feel like excitement. It's kind of like, like when a frying pan is like at the right temperature, and there's like little bubbles, like little sizzling, like I feel that like in my body.
The sizzle point.
A little sizzle. Yeah, we're sizzling a little bit. Yeah, very nicely. Yeah. Yeah. There's actually a nice metaphor here that, from life, that is that you, my brother, know how to caramelize onions exquisitely.
That's right. I'm a patient caramelizer.
He is a very patient caramelizer. And so with that kind of, the care and the abundance of the butter and, like all of that energy, that there's something here. That there's something here about that care and that love, and that patience, with which you're bringing, even the way you're sharing about this, that there's there's like a patience here.
I'm sweetening those onions.
That's right, hermano. That's right, and I am simply smelling it. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and this, to me, this right here is a way in which you and I are making space, right, for connection.
Mm-hmm.
And because the common way of talking about this, like, you know, just in relationships, is that you would share about this experience, and then I would say, oh no, that sounds kind of hard, and then what about this, and, you know, whatever it is, and the energy would stay kind of closed, you know, and like we have that memory in our bodies of what it's like to try to be vulnerable, and then maybe, just maybe, the statement, I don't want to feel this, and also I don't want to show it. Like, those two things are a reflection of many different experiences where we might have tried in the past to share the vulnerability into an experience of abrasiveness or neglect, or, you know, whatever situation that not being able to yeah. And so I'm saying this also just because being able to be present with the way that we're slowing down, like that, and how just essential it is for my nervous system to feel like I just, with my body, and that I can actually start to open the parts that feel uncomfortable. Because we're not just like on this mission, you know, of talking about things that is like, wow, yeah, and we're succeeding and this and that. It's like, no. It's, our world is deeply stuck because we don't know how to do this. And here you and I are practicing, and we are, and like you are, like, that's what I meant by the courage, you know? The courage. And feeling you. And then it's like, oh, what if really what it takes is to create a space inside which being uncomfortable can, like, feel open. You know, in a way.
Yeah.
That excites me. I feel excited just because of how much, for most people, I mean, it's like how much uncomfortability there is, like in daily life, you know, like in the world and in relationship to so much. And the sheer thrill. I mean, I feel like a lot of energy right now, just in the sense of us creating a field inside of which we can be vulnerable on the things that we feel actually uncomfortable about. You know, like I feel
vulnerable and showing it, and
yeah, and showing it, yeah, feeling it and showing it.
Part of that excitement there.
Yeah.
I feel like there's something almost alchemical or just, I guess there's a potential here, because it feels like in our relationship I'm not willing to lose the aliveness of our relationship to my habitual need to not show myself. Like I'm not willing to pay the cost of that neglect. Like it's not worth it for me.
What am I'm feeling internally like you're pointing with the negative, like with saying that I'm not or whatever the not and the no is, that there is something that's a yes.
Yeah.
It's like I'm not willing to do that, but there's something that I'm saying yes to, and
Yes.
I feel, yeah. What would you say?
I think that there's part of that sizzle
Uh-huh.
and part of that energized voice
Mm.
and that aliveness and also that like realness, like I guess maybe there's part of me that has lived as if I needed to change reality,
Yeah.
and here what
Exactly.
I'm doing is, well, actually I'm just allowing it, like,
Yeah.
or I'm willing to let it be what it is.
Exactly. I'm willing to show that I'm attempting to change it.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is something that I'm pointing to, maybe implicitly,
Yeah.
in that statement. Yeah, 'cause, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel surprised. You and I had did a little bit of conversation before starting, and have like a bit of a sense of an outline or like an opening kind of like sense. But this, yeah, I can feel the sense of something incredibly precious that's not in our outline. That is very powerful that you're naming. That is like a sense of a longing. It's like part of the word that I feel.
Yes, that very nice.
There's like a longing that it's like I long to, yeah, like the words you were saying, like to be real. It's like a magnetism. It's like a sense of something that I, like my being, in the depths of me, I take more seriously than other things. There's something that feels more, like it has more gravity, more of a sense of importance internally. And so there's like a feeling of that, that's something of our relationship, like that's been implicit in our relationship, and showing itself. But this sense of, it's like a willingness to show up. Really a willingness to show up and to be specifically vulnerable. To be very vulnerable. To risk and to like show ourselves.
Yeah.
Both the contraction but the love also. Like the, yeah.
Yes. And the investment that is becoming defensive is, it just doesn't appeal to me in this relationship, like, and maybe that speaks to the nature of the relationship or to the foundation that this relationship is already built on. But so I'm trying to think back to what it felt like, what it feels like to be in moments in which I do get activated or defensive, and that I do feel more intensely like, I don't want to feel this, I don't want to show it, I'm not comfortable, and I don't want to show that I'm uncomfortable. And what the strategies, that follow that experience are. but yeah, and not to say that you and I couldn't, we don't have those moments in which I do feel defensive.
No.
No?
No.
But,
Definitely. I mean,
but
just
there is
even a couple of weeks ago.
there's like this thread that we pull on together, and there's this mutual unraveling of that like apprehensiveness,
Yeah. Yeah. My sense is that there's something natural here that is in this openness, like sharing the parts that are constricted openly. Like this is like and there's something about what you were sharing about the experience of it's almost like, what it actually feels like, or like what it looks like to me now, is that how easy it is to criminalize our parents? To be like, oh, everything is because of my mom, blah, 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 or because my dad this, or, and always finding the fault, like being like, and so there's like a black and white thinking, something there that is kind of like really looking at our dad or our mom as this source of suffering, like, and that I don't think that this is the case with everybody, but I think that we, in the great majority of our relationship, we looked at each other and towards each other as a resource. Like even from when we were little. Like even when there was like difficulty, like, and there was like different things in competition and, all things that probably we've already talked about to some degree. There's a sense of almost like looking towards each other as like partners in life.
Yeah, to a very significant degree, that was true. And that is true. There's part of me that feels right now the energy of how that dynamic between us was natural, but also subtle in the sense that it was implied and not always explicit.
Totally.
And what I feel now is that we're doing this kind of spatio-temporal exercise where these conversations of being explicit with being with one another is linking back to those moments where I would have benefited from having that made explicit in the relationship with you, because we did look to each other as support and as partners, but I can imagine us now, having a conversation like, oh wow, like that was hard, like
totally.
Whatever we did, whatever happened, and so this like retroactive resource distribution.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my sense is that we're because it hasn't always been like this, and there's been periods of like years where we have felt more separate, and it's been through the practice of little by little opening, sharing with each other, through all kinds of situations. I mean, I remember when I was 16 years old and I was going to Seattle, and then you were 13 years old, and it was like and I had been invited by this family to this blessed Susie to go live with them, to go to school, to go to like high school in the United States, and I remember that the moment that I was leaving, it was I was getting in the car or whatever I was getting a taxi? I don't know. No, I was getting in the car with our dad, maybe.
I think so, yeah, with our dad.
Yeah. and I was saying goodbye to our mom, and I was also saying goodbye to you. And I remember that in that moment, it was very vulnerable. I was 16 years old. I was about to leave the country to a place with people that I didn't really know, and I remember experiencing, like, in the moment, I expected that it was going to be harder for me to leave our mom, like emotionally, like the amount of emotion that I was going to feel. I expected that it was going to be much harder to like hug, the last hug goodbye, or that moment of saying goodbye. And there was a moment in which, after saying goodbye to our mom, I don't know if it was after, but I hugged you. And in our hug, I started crying, like a cry that I'd never felt before. Like a cry of a longing and a sadness that in my mind as a teenager, it was like a bit confusing. I mean, it was very significant. There was like a clear sense of significance, but there was also a sense of confusion, of or like reorientation, of being like, I was like experiencing the meaning and the significance of like the crying. I was crying, feeling you, and feeling this deep sadness of leaving you, like this deep, 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 deep sadness of leaving. And at the same time, just like reorienting to this, to inside myself, to this, to like waking up to this sense of like, oh, like what's true is that I have this connection with my brother. That's what's true. What's true is that I have this connection with my brother, where he feels more like the home that I'm leaving on this adventure. Yeah. It's so vulnerable. It's so vulnerable.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah. Oh wow, Adrian, that's very, very moving.
Yeah.
Very beautiful. And I was also just thinking that was the last time we actually lived in the same place together.
Really? Wow. That makes sense.
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, something like that, yeah.
But
Wow.
But you finished this by saying this thing about the home and being the home that oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
so precious. Can you say something more about that? Or well, can you say it again?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I'm also sharing this on this podcast just because there's I don't want this to seem like a special magical thing, like I don't, you know what I mean? Like in terms of as we're sharing it, publicly like this, I'm wanting to share that almost like before I go more into the richness of the vulnerability of it, even more, like I want to just say, if we don't feel that with our family, if we don't, it's because we haven't learned. We haven't learned how, like, to be with each other, to be able to literally communicate with each other.
Yeah.
And that's something learnable. That's not something impossible. And so just that's very important to my heart. Just that, because it can, for most of, my life, even my life, and in our lives, and for most people, just like the looking at family as like a place where that might be able to happen, looks impossible. Like looks very, very impossible. And And so, of course, it does take enough vulnerability and capacity and interest, but here, yeah, I mean, my prayer is that conversations like these and examples of like brothers being vulnerable with each other, that we can emanate a little bit more possibility, and like to breathe in a little more possibility into the spaces that feel, that don't feel possible. Yeah.
Yeah, that feels important.
Yeah.
I also agree with the sentiment that what feels like right now a very substantive moment, like a very real moment of authenticity, but also of that being able to, like having the means to speak about something that's very real between us, is maybe, yeah, maybe could be something about that could feel rare, but that the substance that we're speaking to, that the significance that relationships have, that's not rare at all.
That's in everybody.
Yeah, that's in everybody, and I think that significance is what actually drives how meaningful the function or the dysfunction of our relationships has. So I appreciate that invitation that you made.
Yeah, function.
But also you said something so important about, because it, like, just imagine what's it like for an experience of feeling connected to a loved one, to a family member. What's it like for that to be inaccessible?
Exactly. That reality is why we're doing this podcast.
Yeah, totally.
Basically.
Totally, and that reality is probably why I responded the way I did to my interaction with my dad, to our dad yesterday, because there was a reality of that I was interpreting that it was some inaccessibility to a connectedness between us.
Yeah.
On some level.
Yeah. Now I can feel a little more uncomfortability. Which is good, because the moment that I'm realizing that the moment that you reflected to me the sense of that home, like the beauty of like the sense of the home, I realized that I felt like we were like touching like a glowing love, like star, or something. It's like super powerful. And in the moment that I saw that, a part of me went like, like, and I felt like I'm just feeling a sense of shyness, like feeling just shy of sharing what is it, the shyness? It's like, I guess it's just a little awkwardness. It's not too hard. I just feel a little awkward as I imagine sharing that. It's so good. Just I'm including the awkwardness. I feel awkward. Yeah, yeah. This is, I guess, in the spirit of what we're talking about, I'm just going to make a little more space for the awkwardness. Yeah. Um. Yeah, just to be
Yes,
a
Adriano,
little more awkward together.
thank you. And the discomfort,
Yeah.
whatever it's. Yeah, yeah. As a kind of just maybe parenthetical thread to what you were saying, because I also sense sometimes that, ooh, like I feel a moment of connectedness, maybe, or a moment of also there's implicit gratitude for, oh, I can have this experience of feeling my brother's love for me. And that's, wow, that's like amazing. And
Oh.
and of having him describe these things to me, and wow, I'm like remembering, yeah, there was this moment that was significant and all that. And then, but then it's interesting because this is like a public forum, there's a part that could that could awaken a kind of insecurity about like, oh, what if there are people who can't relate to that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if there's someone who doesn't feel like that?
Totally, or for whom that's uncomfortable. Yeah.
You know, and there's something in me, I think, that has been reticent or reluctant to 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 talk about and open up to love when it doesn't feel available to everyone.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a whole maybe topic. I don't know.
It's a whole topic. I mean, it's the topic of feeling shy about sharing success also.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's it's touching that a little bit, like the sense of it's also, you know what also it is? It's also that my heart, like to accept that love, like to feel the love, it feels like cracking my heart open a little bit.
Hmm.
You know, or like just like the feeling like there's a little bit of a sense of like a sadness along the way to feeling that love.
Yeah.
You know? And I almost like a sense of like it feels vulnerable. Feels vulnerable. Yeah, it feels vulnerable, like a sense of that I miss you, hermano. I miss you. Yeah. 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 Yes, this feels really vulnerable. It's good. Wow. Yeah, there's something here that's this is part of what I was trying to say before, that we're like navigating a different dimension than I expected. Or in depth, yeah, or something. Yeah. There's something here that I feel like a sense of like a spiritual longing. I feel like a spiritual longing with you. Yeah.
Yes, that's very apt for what I was also trying to say when you asked me what I was
Yeah.
when I was talking about the aliveness and excitement, and I was and what I want to do when I say no to the rigidity, or but there's and what am I saying yes to? Are you asking? That longing and this kind of maybe a spiritual dimension to a longing is
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, that's what feels vulnerable in a good way. I mean, also in a good way. That there's a longing. And by spiritual, it means, like, part of what I mean is that I can feel a longing all the way through me. Yeah. Yeah.
all the way through you, like every part of you. Is
Yeah, like, like my body, my mind, my emotions, like it feels aligned. It feels aligned. And
yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the body. Because I'm trying to just sense into what is the discomfort, what is awkwardness like in the body, but also, I mean, actually more directly, what I was remembering is just how it made me feel just now when you were talking about that moment you left home.
yeah.
That I kind of, as a parenthesis, I can't believe we haven't actually talked about it so much, you and I.
Right.
But like what it feels like in my body for you to bring that up. And like I don't know, either maybe what's stored in my body, but also what's potential there when this kind of mattering emerges.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel a deep excitement for us to talk about, or definitely in other episodes, about that emergence. I believe is the key to human peace on earth. Yeah. Like to the culture in which we can be together, present at the emergence of the vulnerability that is present in the moment, that we can be in a field of relationship that can actually include from that level, at that level, that, like the stucknesses in our lives, are made out of trying to be present with each other and trying to come close to each other while unconsciously regurgitating past and not being able to catch it with each other, and then feeling the past land on each other and being like, ow, ow, and then, like it's this whole kind of situation. And that's, what it looks like when politicians are in conflict, or when family members are in conflict, or when conversations don't work at work. And there's this culture of being able to, like, how essential and how needed it is to be able to to create a world in which we can have spaces in which we practice being with our bodies, like that our conversations include our bodies, including the uncomfortable, like the specific and uncomfortable, ultimately all the way through the most uncomfortable things, the things that we run from the most. And there's so I feel this aliveness as you and I are here, and that we're practicing being family members, brothers who are practicing, and also this culture of just slowing down and being with these layers as they are.
Yeah. I love the way you synthesized that about there's part of us in conflict, that there's the part of us that wants to come closer, that's trying to come together, but then that we're unconsciously regurgitating. No, it lands. It feels real, and the
That's
piece
great.
about the body, because
Exactly.
because it's so present in our body. It's so evident in a way if we pay attention.
Exactly.
Like very often we're serial escapists from our own body, from our own experience. And those points of conflict it's so funny. It's like this paradoxical thing because we're trying to come closer, but at the same time, the process of trying to come closer is feels like we need to escape from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sentence right there describes why it feels impossible. the attempt of a solution feels like like the impossibility.
Right.
That's like a very stuck situation.
Like the path forward is what I'm trying to avoid, is the reason that I am in crisis or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's very relevant, I think, just as for me personally, but I think also just in our world, because we're filled with I think experiences, dynamics, or patterns of avoidance and means to avoid, many means to avoid. Yeah, Adriano.
This is so good. It's a little slowing down right now. It's so good. There's my sense is that it would be very medicinal to now, with everything that we have shared and the ground and all the pieces that we, to come back to where we started. Because there was a way in which all of this opened the moment that you shared the vulnerability in relationship to our Father. And the discomfort and the, like all that. And maybe what it's like now that we've created this field, that we're in, what it's like to welcome that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's something substantial and real and important that I don't want to share. That's the experience I was having. That I don't want to be seen.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah. Hermano. I can feel it's like it's this incredible, I can feel so many things, but just the past and the future. It's like feeling the difference between the past and the future, like in the conversation. Like what things I could say that would feel more like repeating the past versus things that would be inviting like a sense of a future. And what you're sharing right now, part of what feels like the future to me is being able to hang out together more with being uncomfortable. And with not wanting to share.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel aliveness about that, just even if it's helpful, just in my own, in my body, in relationship to what I'm experiencing, what I've been processing, and what I've been, just like the sense. There's a sense of just how much I haven't wanted to share. The experience of like of me in my body being stuck in an emergency. Like in a relational.
Wow.
Yeah, like yeah, layers there that I haven't wanted to share, that I'm learning how to share, of being afraid and also of like aversion, of like not wanting to be seen as somebody who doesn't want to show.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm. Thank you for showing. Thank you for having the courage yourself to be in that
Yeah.
liminality.
Mm-hmm.
It changes the nature of relationship, communication.
Yeah.
And there's something that I sense is important in our own kind of like family makeup, which is the ideal, or maybe the value that was highly regarded about opening up and sharing, and also processing and working through emotions and vulnerability even, where that was highly valued in our family system. And so it felt like if I wasn't able or willing to do that, then there was
Yes. Failing.
there was a failure or a conflict.
Yeah. Yeah, that if we're not showing up to successfully play the game that our family plays, then
Yeah.
that's a threat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I see it as a useful exercise to continue along this path, maybe, of noticing what are the ideals or the values that were implicitly held in the family system, that game that we were invited to or that we were thrown into play, and the rules of that game, and to kind of discern what were they, and then what did that mean for me, like how did that shape me. And
Yeah. Yeah. So curious if there's, any listeners that will also be reflecting on this, just like You
Of
know, to
course.
feel like the sense of the diversity of those kinds of values and those games, or the structures of what it is that's successful connection, you know, and what we're supposed to be doing together, what we.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Totally. Because I mean, it's so funny to talk to other people from different family systems with different sets of values that
Exactly.
were, or sets of rules for the family game that was played.
Yeah.
Uh, and also, you could even think about that in regards to our own parents, because they had different sets of values that they
Exactly.
grew up with and were
Yeah, our grandparents.
subjects to, which in a way informed how they attempted to create a culture within which we existed. And it's an interesting sort of synthesis or dialectic, right?
Yeah. I can feel fear. I can feel fear. Like in my gut. And the sense of like a frozenness that like it feels frozen, and then it's frozen all the way like up here, and then up here I have like I'm more flexible to talk. Yeah.
All of it's welcome here.
Yeah. Inside this welcoming, there's like two parts that come alive. One is I feel the longing to come, to show and to share, and then there's also the experience of that I'm also sharing the aversion. Like not just the like not just the expression of it and like the showing of it, but also that there's like and this part of the aversion that we all feel and fear, that the sense of the aversion is being able to share aversion with each other, like this being more part of the human culture seems like an acupuncture point, or like a node that where a lot of energy is stuck, basically. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of energy in the aversion
Yeah.
and the resistance.
My sense is that, to contextualize a little bit, like the sense of the fear, and the aversion to the fear, that one of the things that I've been processing, that I won't get into in great length or anything right now, because I know that we're going to close soon. But just to give a sense of context to the feeling, because we just invoked, and we're sharing, and there's like we can feel the atmosphere, like there's almost like a seriousness. And just to give that a little bit of a sense of home, like the sense of the seriousness, is the sense of a part of what I've been processing is a wound. That I will probably elaborate more on later, from when I was very little. In which I was shut down through violent words when I was being vulnerable. Basically, I was being vulnerable and I was crying when I was like 1 year old, or something. And the experience was an experience of being shut down through an emergency, through a sense of an emergency and anger, or even rage, and that the layers here that are coming up and the way that this is unfolding, and as the healing process that is happening here, like the context of this, is that the space to be able to, for me to be present with being afraid, and then also to be present with a sense of the aversion. It's like to have like a right in myself, to feel kind of like I have a right in the relationship to show that I'm holding back.
Mm-hmm.
And also to show or to share that I'm afraid. And that these dimensions that are here are part of layers that are often incredibly hidden. Incredibly hidden in our lives and in our, in our relationships. And just that the welcoming of the sense of the fear and or the aversion of showing the fear also, like those two things can feel like inside of a space of like welcoming, like the welcoming them can feel like actually a freedom, a sense of freedom, because I'm like almost like reinstating a sense of that I have a right to be afraid, and I also have a right to not show my fear whenever it is that it's not safe. In that sense. And so, just to give a little bit of that context to the quality of what may feel like an intensity, to the feeling, and and these places, where on the surface of that can be, can feel like absence, just places where there's absence.
Yeah, and history of, you use the word criminalization. There's like a criminalization of states of fear or states of aversion.
Exactly. Yeah, that I've looked at fear and aversion and other states that I won't name now as something that's bad, or that's for me bad for the world, bad for my relationships, and here you and I are exploring being able to include, basically, to include those layers as something that is not bad. Something that is actually part of our life and part of our who we are.
Yeah.
And that is the coming home for me. That's the coming home.
Yeah.
That we are creating a culture of relationship in which we are being more and more capable of being with the experiences that feel like they shouldn't be here. More and more to welcome that which feels like it shouldn't be here, that is already here, to be here. to be here. Yeah.
And that's a beautiful place for us to metabolize, beautiful words for us to digest and rest.
Yeah.
Yeah. And thank you. Yeah. Thank you for this dialogue, for bringing us here to this place where you're naming what we're trying to build, but also naming the discomfort and the places where we don't want to be. So, gracias, hermano.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel deeply this place is where I feel like future or like new life becomes possible. Yeah. Yeah. And so also thank you, hermano, for opening this field, with this sense of the discomfort and the vulnerability, and thank you to all our teachers. Thank you to our family for what you said about the whole processing. Like that we do come from a family where there has been a value of being open with each other to a certain degree, and we've to practice these things that is significant, and that we stand on the shoulders of that, and then also thank you to all of our teachers that are including all of life, our bodies, and also the culture that we are exploring here and attempting to and innovating, as brothers. Yeah. And so with that, I almost like a sense of blowing a kiss from my heart to maybe from our hearts to the corners of life that have felt alone or have felt impossibility of relationship, that we here are bowing to the possibility for there to be more hope in the world, in the places where we have learned and experienced that it's not possible.